There's two important things to consider when using NLP techniques, particularly when it comes to selling, establishing rapport, and all things sales related. One is that there's 4 steps to learning, and the second is what's called the law of requisite variety. This is one of the presuppositions, one of the basic foundational ideas upon which NLP is built. First one, the 4 steps of learning. It starts out, and you're probably familiar with this. The first step is what's called unconscious incompetent. You don't know that you don't know. The second step is really where learning begins. It's called conscious incompetence. You realize that you don't know, therefore you take the steps to learn, which is pretty much where you are right now. If you've ever driven stick shift or tried to do something new like rollerblading or skiing or playing tennis, and you've never done it before, you realize you don't know what you're doing, so your mind is open and you can learn. The third step to learning and mastering a process is what's called conscious competence. Conscious competence very simply means while you're thinking about it, you can do the thing. Again, going back to driving manual transmission, you got to think about easing out on the clutch, easing down on the gas, making sure you're in the right gear, controlling the steering wheel, looking at the traffic. You're doing all these things very, very consciously, and it's almost exhausting when you have to think about each step. Now, let me stop here for a moment, and I'd ask you to consider for a moment. Now, just go back and remember things that you've learned in the past, and you'll realize you've gone through these steps. You have to consciously think about it. Even something as simple as your multiplication tables, 2 by 2, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4. There was a period there where you had to learn it and you had to consciously think. Now you just know 2 times 4, 8, 2 times 6, 12. It's automatic, which brings us to the 4th step. The 4th step to mastery and learning is unconscious competence, where you're no longer thinking about it, it just happens automatically. Now, in a skill such as rapport building and some of the videos that follow in this section, it's really important that you understand this, because when training adults and adults learn something new, there's a natural tendency that they have. They want to go from not knowing anything to mastering it and teaching it in 24 hours. And it doesn't work that way. There is a period of conscious competence where you have to think about the thing that you're doing so that you can get good enough with it so that it becomes unconscious and automatic. Which brings me to the second one. The law of requisite variety. This is one of my favorite presuppositions in the world of NLP. And what this essentially says is the person with the most flexibility controls the conversation. The person with the most flexibility dominates the interaction. Now, let me back off for a second and talk about control and dominate. Not in a negative way, in a way that you want to lead your prospect. Isn't it true that in a selling situation, you'd like to be in control? Even though it's a dance, it's a bob and weave with what the prospect is saying to you, you want to be in control in that you can lead them. You can pull them towards the outcome that is best for you, making a sale that's best for them, ideally, if the intention is correct, making the sale so they can benefit from your product or service. So the law of requisite variety says you need to be flexible so that you can match how the prospect is giving you the information. You need to be flexible. If they're talking fast, you need to be able to speed up a little bit. If they're slow talking and relaxed and easygoing, you need to be able to calm down. If they like to sit erect and not move at all when they're speaking, you need to try to match that. If they're the type of person that's bobbing and weaving, their hands are going all over the place and they have lots of energy, you need to match that. Okay? Now, that being said, what you're going to hear in the next video is me emphasizing the word subtle. And this is so important. When you're learning it, your flexibility is going to be limited. And you're going to be thinking about this consciously while you're doing it and stretching to the outer limits of your natural flexibility. If you start behaving in a way that is so counter to who you are, your prospect is going to pick up on that as being fake, as imitating them, or making fun of them if they have some strange quirk that you're trying to mirror or match. And you're going to lose all credibility, all trust, and all rapport. And even if they like your product or service, they're not going to buy it from you because they flat out don't like you and don't trust you. So one of the mistakes that people make when they're learning how to do NLP techniques for rapport building is they go too far outside of their comfort zone, too far outside of their natural flexibility, and they come across as fake. So what I'm saying is you have to learn to be flexible. but do it a little bit at a time. Start to stretch your flexibility. Do it so you're thinking about it initially, you're thinking about matching the person, you're thinking about doing all the things we're going to talk about in the following videos. And then with practice, that level becomes natural, which means that your flexibility can now stretch to another level. So over a period of time, you will learn to very naturally do the things that are necessary to establish rapport, trust, credibility using these techniques. Okay, so give yourself some time to learn them and stay within the boundaries of what's natural for you, realizing and understanding that as you do that, that flexibility is naturally going to expand and stretch, and you'll become better and better at this over time.